All right, we should be in here. We should be back at it on this Friday. Shout out to the game. Happy Friday to y'all. Hopefully everybody is doing well. Y'all know what to do. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can see me. We got an exciting day for you guys, as you can see in the description and in the title of this live stream. We got a very special live stream for you guys. We're going to be welcoming a very special guest today, Garland Favorito. We're going to talk about him in a second. We've also got a lot of news to get into when it comes to what's going on here in Fulton County with the meeting of the elections board. There's more craziness that went on. Guys, we're barely 2 hours into this first meeting they had, and hearing some of the things that are going on in Fulton County, DeKalb County, is going to absolutely shock you. We've also got an update when it comes to the Nancy Guthrie investigation that we've been covering here. So make sure y'all stick around because it's going to be a great show as usual. Before I get into it, I've got to say what's up to the people though. Shout out to everybody who's in the building. So good to see all of y'all. Of course, we've got my beautiful, awesome, amazing Amy E is in the building doing what she does. And that's be amazing. Thank you to Amy for all you do. I know you've been working hard, especially this morning. So thank you for the love and the support that you give. Big shout out to A Fits in here. We got Taco Tuesday is in here on a Tuesday. Well, on a Friday, celebrating Taco Tuesday on the Tuesday as well. All right, y'all, we're going to get right into the content. But before we do, I do have a major favor that I have to ask you. And that's that you like the video on your way in. Now, I say it's a major favor. It's really not. It takes less than a second to do. It's free, and it allows the YouTube algorithm to let more people know about the live stream, let more people know about the show and the channel. It helps us continue to grow. So if you could, make sure you take a second, like the video. Thank you to all 600 of you that have liked the video so far. Wow. Y'all do not hold out. Always supporting. So thank you so much for that. If you feel extra generous and you want to share the video, you can share the video as well. All you have to do is click the share button. It's got an arrow that's curved and pointing to the right. That's going to allow you to share the video to any social media platform you're on. It'll allow you to share it even via text to your group chat or to an individual via text as well. Excuse me. And then last but not least, I will be reading super chats as we go throughout the show. So thank you to everybody who goes the extra mile and sends in super chats as well. I appreciate y'all and thank y'all for the love and support that you give as well. All right, we're going to go ahead and get into it. Let me double check and make sure we got everybody in here. What do y'all got going on this weekend? Let me know how you're feeling. Let me know where everybody is shouting out from, because I know we've got a ton of y'all in here ready to go for this topic and a lot of the topics we have covering today. If you haven't checked out what's going on with this board meeting or this election boards meeting, the state election boards meeting, man, I recommend you guys go and watch it. It's we've got 10 hours. That was from, was it Thursday, Wednesday. And then we've got another session that they had this past Thursday. And when I tell you guys the amount of information you're going to hear during that hearing, even if you're not in Fulton County, even if you're not DeKalb County or the surrounding counties here in Georgia, it's going to make you wonder what's going on in your own county, because seeing some of the deficiencies, hearing stories from immigrants, some immigrants who have been here over 20 years and are saying, I don't know what's going on with this system, but I got a letter that said, hey, thank you for your vote. I never voted because I'm not a citizen. I know I shouldn't be voting, but it gets crazy. And of course, we're going to get into it and cover it today. All right, let's go ahead and get into our first topic, because I know y'all are ready for it. Up first, we are going to be talking again about what's going on with this Nancy Guthrie investigation. All right. So we've got some updates when it comes to the suspects and people who've been identified as potential suspects in this Nancy Guthrie investigation. And there's one man that's been detained and was detained by the Pima County Sheriff's Department. And then, of course, he was released, because we know this is what they do. This is what happens. They find the person, they pick them up, and then they're let go for whatever reason. And now we're hearing that about the man who was detained, and his name is, we're going to get into it here in a second, Luke Daly. And it says, I confirmed, and this is from Sean Rice, that the man recently detained and questioned in connection to the Nancy Guthrie kidnapping in this case is 37-year-old Luke Daly. And that's D-A-L-E-Y. Maybe it's Daly. Y'all bear with me. All right. I think it's Daly. His criminal defense attorney in multiple Pima County cases, Chris I'm going to say S because I'll mess up his name as well, issued this statement to 12 News there out in Tucson. And he says this: they can confirm that Luke was the subject of 2 search warrants issued and served on February 13th of 2026. Now, how he was related, we have no idea. Why they picked out this guy and they decided to go after him and get these search warrants, we don't know yet, but we may find out some more information here. Mr. Daly and his mother were both detained by law enforcement while the search warrants were being executed. Neither Mr. Daly nor his mother were arrested in connection to this case or any other. Mr. Daly has no link whatsoever to Nancy Guthrie and has no information related to her kidnapping. Like the entire Tucson community, both Mr. Daly and his mother are hopeful that Nancy will be returned to her family unharmed. And then, of course, we've got Sheriff Nanos we're going to hear from, who actually talked about this and hinted at this before the arrest went down. Sean Rice says Daly was detained and questioned the night of February 13th at his mother's home just 2 miles away from Nancy Guthrie's Catalina Foothills home. In an interview Tuesday, Sheriff Nanos described what went into Daly becoming a lead in this investigation. And of course, at this point, he didn't name him by name, but now we know that's who it is. Check this out from Sheriff Nanos.
We develop a lead and we follow it. And we get it going, and pretty soon it's, oh, wait, we've got this. Oh, wait, we learned this about this person. Maybe that person's a person of interest. Maybe he's a suspect. We develop it, and we come back in here and we talk to, in our own command room right here, somebody from the county attorney, get some legal advice, or other FBI agents or other detectives from other agencies. We share this. We go, the U.S. attorney at the FBI command post, same thing. And they come up with a strategy that says, okay, let's get a search warrant. So we go to a judge who either agrees with us or doesn't. He signs that warrant. We now have a court order. That process goes through the day based on the lead we're following. So in this case, that gentleman, whether it was the one in Rio Rico or the one up here on the north side at First and Orange Grove, we developed a person of interest. We surveyed him. He left both of them left their residences. We made a traffic stop on both of them, held them. Per our court order, we had to search the homes. Those homes, people are inside them, family, friends, whatever. We can't have them there while we search. So are they being detained? Of course not. They're free to leave, but they can't be in the home. So how many?
So now Sheriff Nanos is saying that they're not really being detained. We just removed them from their home forcibly. Okay. This guy can't even get the definition of detained right, but either way.
We knew we were looking for one person at that home.
This is crazy.
And the other person we're looking for is Nancy. Nancy wasn't there. The person of interest gave us a statement, gave us his, whatever the warrant was for, maybe petition for physical characteristics or buccal swabs or photos or finger. We got everything we needed, and he is set free. Now, does that
But he
mean he's
wasn't
not
detained.
a suspect any longer? No, we'll do our work. We've got evidence to process from the home. What if we find Nancy's DNA in that home?
Okay, so he wasn't detained, but he was detained apparently, guys. So let's get more information on this from the actual news station that reported this initially. That is 12 News there in Tucson. Let's see what they have to say about
News
this.
Exclusive. So we have confirmed that a Tucson felon was detained, questioned, and then released as part of this investigation last week.
Now we're hearing from his attorney, who denies he has any involvement in this high-profile abduction. 12 News journalist Sean Rice has been tracking this FBI lead for multiple days now. Sean, what did you learn?
Well, it's interesting. The Pima County Sheriff's Office and the FBI will not publicly name any person of interest or suspects in the Nancy Guthrie case. And I've spent the last several days working to learn who exactly was questioned at a home in the Catalina Foothills area this past Friday. That's when investigators served a search warrant on a home that's just 2 miles away from Nancy Guthrie's own home. We can now report the person they were interviewing is 37-year-old Luke Daly. Now, this is a statement from Daly's defense attorney. He represents him in multiple criminal cases. His name is Chris Scalepi. He said, quote, Scalepi Law can confirm that Luke Daly was the subject of 2 search warrants issued and served on February 13th, 2026. Mr. Daly and his mother were both detained by law enforcement while those search warrants were being executed. Neither Mr. Daly nor his mother were arrested in connection to this case or any other. Mr. Daly has no link whatsoever to Nancy Guthrie and has no information related to her kidnapping. Like the entire Tucson community, both Mr. Daly and his mother are hopeful that Nancy will be returned to her family unharmed, end quote. Now, video from the scene shows where these two search warrants were served. One was Daley's home. He lives there with his 77-year-old mother. There was also a scene at a Range Rover at a nearby Culver's, just a couple of miles away from both homes. Sheriff Chris Nanos tells 12 News in the interview we had with him yesterday that they presented evidence to a federal judge. They got both search warrants. They processed both scenes, not only in search of any potential suspects, but also in search of Nancy herself.
And it's interesting as it went federal because, again, it's confusing to see what the FBI is handling, what Pima County is handling, and why they needed that type of search warrant. It's interesting.
The person of interest gave us a statement, gave us his, whatever the warrant was for, maybe petition for physical characteristics of buccal swabs or photos or finger. We got everything we needed.
He's not going to say.
He is set free. Now, does that mean he's not a suspect any longer? No, we'll do our work. We've got evidence to process from the home. What if we find Nancy's DNA in that home?
Now, Daley and his family.
But again, everybody's cleared, but nobody's cleared at the same time, according to Sheriff Nanos. And I don't know why. Again, I'm not going to belabor the Sheriff Nanos point. But again, it doesn't make sense why this man is saying that people are cleared, they're not detained, but they are cleared, but they weren't detained, but they might find something else. They're going to keep looking, basically stay in town. We're going to keep asking questions.
Family members, as the sheriff mentioned, were all released after this multi-hour investigation from late Friday night into Saturday morning. Luke does have a criminal history. He was arrested back in 2022, later convicted of drug distribution charges. He was sentenced to 4 years on probation. He was arrested again last year in early 2025 in possession of both fentanyl and a gun. His probation officer filed a petition to revoke his probation, but a judge allowed him to remain on the streets. They continued his probation, and he was not sent to the Pima County Jail. Now, because DNA evidence is likely going to be crucial in finding who took Nancy Guthrie, it's important to note that Daley's DNA profile could very well be in CODIS. That's the law enforcement database that stores DNA from people who have been convicted or DNA that may have been collected from a separate crime scene. Now, in the Guthrie case, there has been no positive DNA matches from any evidence collected in this case.
And again, CODIS, it's going to take some time to get everything cleared through CODIS. And I mentioned in another video, knowing and understanding how the laws work in Arizona in that specific area. In a lot of cases, when they arrest you, they can not only take your fingerprints, but they can take a DNA swab as well, something very specific to that area. And from my understanding of the law, you don't see often. So again, let me know what you guys think about this, because we got more information we're going to get into here from Fox News about what Sheriff Nanos had to say about this situation.
Day 18, and there are still no signs of Nancy Guthrie. Local sheriff now shedding light on what he believes are the circumstances of her disappearance. Here's what he told our own chief correspondent, Jonathan Hunt.
I believe it was a kidnapping, but I'm not the one investigating this. I have a team of some very qualified, very hardworking young men and women who if you want a theory, their theory would be the best theory out there, because they do know.
You just said and your briefings, you believe it's a kidnapping?
I believe it was a kidnapping.
Targeted kidnapping?
Yes, I believe whoever did that knew what they were up to.
He says he's determined to find Nancy, telling NBC News, quote, "As long as we have the ability to chase a lead, it's not cold." He shared a similar message to the New York Times. But notice the word he uses. He says maybe it's an hour from now, maybe it's weeks or months or years from now. But we won't quit. We're going to find Nancy. We're going to find this guy. Emily, this advanced DNA testing, or the newer DNA testing that is being used, because we know there wasn't a hit on CODIS, there is some hope here. And I want to pull up some of the cases that have been solved with newer DNA testing: the Idaho murders, the Golden State Killer, Bear Brook murders, and William Talbot II. And the Koberger, one of the investigators, said there that the advanced genomic sequencing could build a detailed profile for genealogical databases crucial for solving this case. Well,
yeah, and we found out more information on that. Basically, what they do is a lot of these systems that some of you may have used, Ancestry.com, 23andme.com, they were able to use that information to compile a database. And then this is the database that they're talking about, to where they can maybe put your DNA into the system and see if you're related to somebody, if you're closely related to another person, and then they can find out more information about you that way. It's something that's very new. And we've heard a lot of news about what happened and what went down with 23andMe and their data issues. But this is something that's now being used by law enforcement to maybe see if they can find a connection and figure out who this person might be.
Distinction between some of the cases that you had on the screen there, Kaylee, is timing. So you had the Golden State Killer, that was 2018. Now, since then, there have been multiple lawsuits and a whole privacy movement that has resulted in these DNA genetic match websites closing their profiles, having the default be to not share the genetic profiles with law enforcement. So overnight, it went from millions of potential DNA profiles to do this genealogical familial mapping out to thousands. So I believe while I too am optimistic about this case in general, yes, the public needs to understand that for them to be on board with, to support, to be part of this kind of necessary tracking for cold cases and for urgent cases like this, you have to toggle it on to share with law enforcement. Now, in the past, there's been sort of a narrative that it was an overbroad, deceptive pursuit by law enforcement, that everyone's DNA would be splashed everywhere and families would be, sort of held culpable. Nothing was further from the truth. It is, as you know, targeted, very specific subpoenas and requests, and those mapping out oftentimes were done over years on butcher block paper by the good men and women of law enforcement. So for this to be more efficacious, please toggle your profiles on and understand the reality that it's not just easily done in 30 minutes like we see on shows on TV. It's a lot worse. And by the way, quick point about that sheriff, I hope that there's a PR class in the making because it is abysmal how he is managing the PR and the communications.
I agree 1000%.
Entirely. The PR has not been, let's say, above board. There's been a lot of conflicting messages. And I listened to this message, and you hope that maybe they have a suspect in mind. The way with Koberger, yes, it took 40 days to lead to the arrest, but they had the suspect in mind before. Well, Sheriff Nanos was asked about whether there's a pool of suspects. Here's what he said to Jonathan Hunt.
Check this.
We haven't narrowed it down to anything other than we have certain pieces of evidence that we're looking at to try to find this individual, whether it be DNA, whether it be that ring camera video, whether it be evidence at a Walmart that might lead us to somebody.
I mean, Harris, it makes me think there's not even a pool of suspects here.
Yeah.
Well, look, I do find this interesting. After all that they've done, and I thought about the Privacy Act that Emily was just talking about, those laws especially, they now are going back to Google, the owner of Nest, and they're going to try to see what else they can glean. Jonathan Hunt was reporting that in the Faulkner Focus last hour. And, my whole question is, do they have more that they think they can get to and Google just cannot share it? Like, where are we in that process? That's not going to make or break the case, but it will answer those people who are worried about the fact that this is looking like maybe we got to wait for a while. When he says the word years, yeah, I can kind of see why you might want to give this guy some communications gifts. But look, he was transparent about it. So I guess we're grateful for that part. I do want to know what else they think they can get from that doorbell, because the doorbell cam is gone. So what was left behind more than what we already have, and that's been such a pinnacle. It's so important in this case. That's been really critical. So if they have more, let's see it.
So maybe the communications was imprecise, or maybe there is a pool of suspects, because there is this interview that took place with a co-owner of a gun shop about the sheriff and the law enforcement that approached him. Listen to what the co-owner of this gun shop said.
He started asking me questions about if anybody had, well, he actually had given me a list, a paper list of people that had pictures and names on it. And he wanted to know if I could help him pull up in my system if any of these people have purchased a gun in the last year. I felt bad for the family, and honestly, anything that could help to find the person, I was willing to help. So I said that I'd be willing to help.
So John,
now, this is the strange thing. As Sheriff Nanos said in a statement that, oh, no, we're not going to the gun owner or the gun shop owners. We're not finding these people and asking them if they can help us. And then this man is saying that someone approached him, not sure who, and asked him for his help, which is interesting. Was it the FBI?
If there are pictures and names, then there are people that are in mind.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, as more information comes out, I think we'll see more kind of what's going on. Right now, it's just little smoke and mirrors for the American people. I do worry about the amount of eyeballs that are on this case. I mean, millions of people are watching this. Even in my own life, and I'm texting friends like, have you heard this? And it has totally gripped our country in a way. And I worry about what is the message that's going to be at the end of this. And my hope is that the message to elderly and vulnerable people that, look, if something happens to you, we will go to the ends of the earth to get you back home. We are going to make sure, we will stop at nothing to make sure you're okay. And I also hope that the message to the perpetrators, and any monstrous people out there, evil, depraved people out there, the message to them is, look, you will not get away with this. If you even think about harming vulnerable people in our country, elderly people in our country, we will go to the ends of the earth to bring you to justice.
And again, I think this isn't an issue with Pima County necessarily, specifically in the Nancy Guthrie case. The way it was handled, yeah, that's an issue. I mean, people pulling on the doors, we know that happens in a lot of neighborhoods. And if we looked at a lot of the neighbors apps by Ring, we'd probably see some stuff that would make us unnerving. But I think it's clear to most of us throughout this investigation, what we've seen from the Nest camera footage, what we've heard from investigators, what we've seen from the FBI, what we've heard from Savannah, what we've heard from TMZ, the ransom notes, it would be simple to assume that this was a targeted attack. This wasn't someone who just stumbled upon Nancy Guthrie's home and said, oh yeah, let's take this 84-year-old woman, even though most people don't kidnap an 84-year-old woman. I think it's clear what's happening here, and that has to be factored in as well, because this somewhat no end in sight search, it seems to be they're looking the wrong place, because we've got the ransom notes, we've got a direction that's pointing to someone specifically knew what they were doing and did this a certain way. It seems like there should be more energy into that instead of running around Nancy's home trying to find clues that are apparently already being given by the kidnappers. I want to know what y'all think about this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and in the chat. What do y'all think, gang? Is this something? Is it nothing? Is it everything? It's interesting to me that we're still at this point. That we're still at this point to where, oh, we're just seemingly running around trying to find information about Nancy Guthrie, and no one knows what's going on. We don't know where she is. We don't know who was behind this. I don't know. It seems like they would be trying to get in contact with the kidnappers and get them the information they need. And now, of course, we're hearing reports that Nancy may have been taken across the border. I know Brian Enton has talked about it, and we maybe have some insight there from the FBI as to what's going on in that situation. So again, let me know what y'all think about this. Thank you to everyone that's in here. We got 1,100 of y'all in the building. We've got a very special guest that's going to be joining us soon, so make sure y'all stick around for that. My guy CG Beats is in the building. What's up, man? Good to see you. Let me see what some of y'all are saying. We've got, what are you saying? Let's see. Didn't Know Nothing Nano say the other day that it was a robbery that turned into a kidnapping? He said he doesn't know, just like he says with everything. 90% of his officers came out and said he was incompetent. Yep, we covered that. It's an elected position. No one who goes to the best person. Yeah, I mean, it seems like it would be pretty simple. It seems like it would be pretty simple. You have a sheriff that runs, that's competent, has the experience, and he runs based on that platform. I would be interested to see if Sheriff Nanos ran unopposed. And honestly, I'm trying to look for that statement and find the statement. If y'all have seen it, let me know. Where it was either the FBI or Pima County said that they were not harassing or going to gun shop owners and asking them for more information. Because I'm trying to find it. I've seen there were several comments left from Pima County basically saying, hey, you guys stop calling in our tip line. We got too many tips. And then you got the FBI contradicting them and saying, well, no, we need you guys to call in to the tip line because we need your help. So this is interesting. I'm trying to look through here and find it. And if y'all know what I'm talking about, let me know so we can find it. My money is on Nancy has been whisked away by an Egyptian plane. Hey, listen, don't start talking like that. I don't want Candace. You're going to summon Candace Owens. And that would not be fun. Let's see. We've got, sounds like another big swing and a miss in the Nancy Guthrie investigation, because the folks whose Arizona home was raided by SWAT team say they have nothing to do with the abduction. We just talked about that, actually. And then we've got the FBI here is talking about Nancy Guthrie. And we didn't even get into the polygraphs. Actually, let me play this video from TMZ the other day. Let me see if this is the one.
Kidnapper. Now, our law enforcement sources are telling us that it is possible they believe that Nancy was taken across the border.
Yeah, let's actually look at this video from TMZ. If y'all haven't seen this yet, this is something else that goes into what could potentially have happened to Nancy Guthrie. Check this out. This is from TMZ.
The search for Nancy Guthrie has gone international. We have learned the FBI has told federal Mexican law enforcement to tell various police agencies to be on the lookout for Nancy and her kidnapper. Now, our law enforcement sources are telling us that It is possible they believe that Nancy was taken across the border, but they doubt if she is across the border that it happened directly after the kidnapping. We're told that because we know now that the FBI checked cameras, Border Patrol cameras, and also other various electronic devices. We are asked not to be specific about that, and they have come up dry. There is nothing showing any movement across the border where they suspect Nancy Guthrie was in that car. Now, that said, we're told that she could have been taken at some point after the kidnapping, a day or so later or 2 days later. They just don't know. And obviously, there is a way to get across the border undetected. But right now, they have put the word out, and so far, no luck. There is something else. TMZ obtained another ransom note today. This is a highly sophisticated demand involving a form of crypto, not Bitcoin.
Again, we've talked about this. Whether that's the case or not, we don't know. I don't know what TMZ's got going on with their notes. They said they weren't going to talk about it anymore or help the people and forward everything to the FBI. Yeah, here we are.
Now, it is demanding roughly the same amount as the demand letter we received, shortly after the kidnapping, the $6 million demand. It's not exactly that, but it's close to that. The demand graphically describes the consequences if the demand is not met. It also involves the media, saying that the media essentially becomes a go-between, a trigger, if you will, for getting this ransom money. We have been asked not to be specific about any of that beyond what we've just said. We have forwarded this on to the FBI, and they are looking into it. The email that we received today does not have the same crypto account as the crypto account in that first ransom letter that we received.
A lot of people are speculating, and what somewhat makes sense is maybe the reason that this is taking so long is because the people kidnapping them were trying to figure out how to get the crypto undetected, which could be why the address, the wallet address, was changed from the original note. But again, is there anything there? I don't know with TMZ, man.
A couple of other things. We told you yesterday that the FBI went around to various gun stores in the Tucson area with a list of names, trying to see if anybody on that list bought a gun at any of these shops. We were told, and we told you this yesterday, that the list was created by the people who had purchased a holster similar to the one that the kidnapper was wearing. The FBI had gone to Walmart and other retailers, created this list. We are told that this did not bear fruit, that so far it turned up nothing, that there was no match here of somebody buying a gun and buying that holster, at least from that list. Couple of other things. The FBI team, there is a team that is working on just finding people who have bought items similar to the ones the kidnapper is wearing. They actually have a team contacting Walmart and other retailers, and their focus is finding matches, people who have bought more than one of these items, a backpack, a jacket, a holster, or anything else. Again, we are told that so far they do not have any real leads on that.
All right, so let's hear from Brian Enton, and I wanted to play this for you all as well. And he's going to give a little bit of insight into what's going on with the Mexico situation, because Brian actually went down to Mexico and is asking around, telling people what's going on. I mean, really putting some work in on the ground to try and locate Nancy, it seems.
Hey guys, so I crossed into Mexico. I'm in Nogales right now, right on the other side of the border from Arizona. And I'm talking to people about whether or not they have heard of the Nancy Guthrie case. It's super interesting. Most of the people I've talked to so far haven't heard of the case at all. They had no idea. We showed the picture of Nancy Guthrie.
Makes sense.
And they knew nothing. A few other people said they saw it on the news. So it is on the news over here in Mexico. It's just weird because we're like right across the border. And another woman was saying she saw it on social media. She saw it on Facebook and TikTok. So it's interesting. I'm just going to walk. This is Daniel, photographer, translator, because I don't speak very good Spanish. But we're going to just walk around Nogales and see. Again, it's just like this is where you would cross over if you were trying to come from Tucson. It's like an hour. It was very easy to get in, which I'll show you guys later. But it's interesting that so many people haven't heard of the case over here, and it's right across the border.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've got a lot of other stuff going on in Mexico, I can imagine. Let me know what you guys think about this. All right, we should be getting into our next segment. We have a very special guest waiting to join us. Let me see if I can get him up here. All right, Garland, could you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? Oh, perfect. All right, we're going to get into it. Let me bring up our very, very, very special guest here. And let me see if I can get him on the screen. There we go. All right. Hopefully y'all can hear. Hopefully y'all can hear him. Let me double check and make sure I got you in there.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. Perfect. Y'all give it up in the chat. We've got Garland Favorito in the building. Good morning to you, sir. And good afternoon.
Morning. It's good to be with you for the first time.
Yes, I appreciate you taking the time to speak to us, especially about everything that's going on here in Fulton County. And you've been doing so much work here as well. So I want to take some time to give you the floor to introduce yourself, talk about what's going on with Voter Georgia and everything we've been seeing lately.
Wow. Okay. Well, thanks. So I guess, as you probably know, I'm the co-founder with Voter Georgia. This is an organization that's been around for 20 years. And we were originally established to try to get rid of the old electronic voting systems, which were unverifiable to the voter. They were paperless, didn't have a ballot. They couldn't be recounted. They just reprinted the previous unverifiable results, and they were not auditable. So that was why the organization was originally established 20 years ago, is to bring a lawsuit. And we did that. And the state, at that time, the state courts ruled against us all the way to the Supreme Court. And then 19 years later, the U.S. District Court found that, yeah, these machines really were unconstitutional, and they banned them for the future use. And then Secretary Ransberger went out and bought this new unverifiable QR coded voting system.
Yes.
And the first time they used it, it turns out that we found the counterfeit ballots in the Fulton County hand count audit, because it was, the highly controversial first election. And then, you probably have seen the rest of the story. We got an order on those ballots to preserve them and to unseal them. After 10 months, the judge said we didn't have standing. We went to the Georgia Supreme Court. We won standing, and Fulton County still wouldn't show us the ballots.
Of course.
And they've told us, in fact, they told me 4 times that they didn't have the ballots. Those were the same ones that the FBI just took, late last month on the 28th of January.
Wow.
So that's just a little bit of background. I'm a career IT guy, 40 years. People think I'm a lawyer because I've spent so much time in court, but my real background is IT, and I knew that there was something wrong with these machines as soon as we got them. And sure enough, the first time that we used them, we have these problems. And then I think what's going to come out of all this, Eric, is that you're going to find that they electronically manipulated the results behind the machines, because they didn't have enough counterfeit ballots to overcome Trump's lead in Georgia. I think that's where we're going to end up, but we'll have to see what happens here.
Yeah, and there's been a lot that's been said by election officials. Obviously, we've heard from Rob Pitts. We've heard from many others that are working with the elections office that have been really upset about this FBI raid. And honestly, with the elections interference case and with everything going on with the 2020 election, I think many of us saw this coming. All right. So
yeah, the reason they're so upset, because now they can't hide the ballots from the people anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. And Rob Pitts even said, hey, you guys should have let us know we were coming so we could get everything ready. I think that's a pretty funny point considering the weight and the gravity of the search warrant, which we actually reviewed at length on this channel. And it's interesting to see what was said about the tabulator machines, the missing ballots, the duplicated ballots, which I'm sure you've got a wealth of knowledge about as well.
Yeah, well, I thought it was funny. He said, but we were going to give you the ballots anyway. Well, look, we've tried to get them for 5 years. Okay.
Exactly.
They're not going to give them to anybody. So
Yep.
they're just, I saw Rob Pitts at the state election board meeting, but I only got a chance to talk with him briefly. So.
Yeah, but you have actually spoken at board meetings in the past, and that's something I wanted to ask you about. The last time you spoke at the board's meeting, it was a pretty serious topic, and I wonder if you could give us some information and background into what went on there and what was the result of that last meeting.
Yeah, well, actually, first of all, the last meeting actually was just yesterday. I don't know if we've just put my clip out.
Yes,
and I announced a new complaint that I filed. I haven't filed a complaint in 20 years. But this one was so important because Fulton County told me 4 times in responses to open records requests that they didn't have the ballots. And yet they were telling the courts that they did have the ballots.
Right.
And then the FBI apparently seized the ballots, unless they're, all the commissioners are lying to us now. So bottom line is they lied to me 4 times, and that's a really serious violation of the couple of violations of Georgia law, refusing to provide information, that requested information that's subject to ORR, that kind of thing. There's lots of violations there. So I filed that case yesterday, actually this week, and then I announced it yesterday. And then last month, I also was speaking in regards to which ironically was some of the probable cause evidence that the FBI used, but we were talking about that as well. And ironically, that was just before the raid. And we were talking about all the missing electronic records. Over 1 million digital records are missing. We talked a little bit about the counterfeit ballots. And in fact, we're going to discuss all this. We're going to have a press conference Wednesday at 2:00 to go over all of the FBI search warrant affidavit evidence that we have that they could easily use. And it shows way, way more than just probable cause.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing we saw in the search warrant when we reviewed it, or the affidavit, I should say, is that it seems pretty straightforward, especially when you go through, I think it was up to 7 witnesses who actually reviewed the recount that was done, the audit that was done, and then the third recount, and just how there was such a deficiency when it came to 15,000 missing ballots in one place, and then suddenly the ballots were reappeared again in the second count in the audit.
Yes, it's fascinating, and we'll be talking about this Wednesday in more depth.
Yeah.
But I talked about that in the meeting before last. I think that's what you were referring to. And
yes,
there were so many discrepancies. They told us the votes count, they all matched. And in reality, they didn't match. The hand count audit, and this audit had 6,691 duplicate reported ballots. And there was already a 3,466 vote difference between the hand count audit and the original count.
Yes.
And then there was another 4,880 vote difference between the machine recount and the original count. So you add all that up, that's like 15,000 votes of discrepancies. The election was decided by 11,779. So you've got more votes in question than you have margin of victory, which should have triggered an automatic recount in Georgia under Georgia law, but it didn't do that. So, but the most fascinating thing that you said, Eric, was that they were the ballots that were in one count weren't in the other count, and vice versa.
Exactly.
And Philip Davis did a great analysis of all this, and he's got ballot assure with ballot integrity analysis that he did on Fulton County. He's a 30-year career image analyst expert, and he found all this, most of it. We knew that there were a couple hundred, like things that were like double scanned, but it turns out there's 3,900 that were double scanned. So it's just all incredible. Plus 250 test ballots.
Yes.
But to your point, the most interesting thing to me was they had ballots in one count that weren't in the other, and vice versa, like to the tune of thousands. How does that happen? It's going to be fascinating to figure out.
Well, and it's interesting to hear even from Catherine Glenn on, I believe she was speaking on Wednesday with the newly appointed attorney for the elections office here. And she was speaking and using the phrase clerical error, which I know you love, and is probably one of your favorite quotes at this point. But when it comes to the clerical error side of things, that seems to be the main argument that I'll say the other side is pushing when it comes to these deficiencies. And one of the biggest things we're seeing also is that the part of the affidavit is really proving that intent, right? Which it seems like that's why this has been such a long process. So what are you seeing? You don't have to give away too much for Wednesday, but what are you seeing when it comes to that side of things and the clerical errors there?
Yeah, well, a couple of things. So first of all, and I think you already heard me say this once.
Yeah.
But look, you can have, they started this when they found the 315,000 ballots that had missing tabulator tapes.
Yes.
And missing or unsigned, one or the other. Most of them were just flat out missing. But so Brad Ravensburger starts this issue that it's a clerical error. And I said, yeah, well, you could have a clerical error on that there was one or two missing or unsigned tabulator tapes. Sure, that's a clerical error. But you've got missing tabulator tapes and unsigned tabulator tapes for 315,000 ballots,
exactly,
which is almost all of early voting for Fulton County. How can that be a clerical error? It's just hilarious. And then it's even hilarious that more and more people are trying to use that as excuse because they just don't have one. So they're kind of, jumping on the bandwagon there. So
Yeah.
That's hilarious. But, again, to your other point, though, the intent, that's all that's left to prove. So, I mean, the evidence, they've got a mountain of evidence for these 5 areas of probable cause. And we'll go through all that Wednesday next week. But they've got a mountain of evidence. So, as you said, the only question left to prove is whether there's criminal intent. There's no question that there are discrepancies beyond belief in the Fulton County 2020 election.
Absolutely.
And the only question is left, how on earth could all of those discrepancies have occurred without there being criminal intent?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we talk about 2020 now, even looking into the last few years, listening to what's been going on at this election board meeting, we've heard testimony after testimony from people who are seeing issues with the registration process, with, as you've talked about before, the opt-out situation. And it's shocking to me, and it has been shocking to me to hear how many issues still exist in the system today, and with something as simple as the registration process.
Absolutely. And we were just trying to make a list of issues this morning, literally, to see what we can get changed legislatively in this session. And there's a ton of low-hanging fruit that we could probably get done. But there's so many things wrong. You hit on several of them. The fact that the voter rolls are just not clean, and Jason Frazier has gone around showing you all the empty houses where dozens of voters are registered, and houses that don't even exist, bridges where voters are registered, all kinds of crazy stuff. That is a whole nother issue, over and above all the issues that you've got with the machine. So, now we know. And by the way, I guess you probably know this, but we have filed a a federal lawsuit to try to vacate the certification of the Dominion machine because we found out it was never legitimately certified in the first place.
Yeah, weren't
So
there
we've
up
got,
to nine issues, I believe I heard, with the current machines?
well, that was 9 that CISA found.
Oh,
There's
wow.
way more issues than 9, and so some of the
Oh,
ones that we
man.
have built our case on are not even ones that CISA has already acknowledged. But you're right, they did have 9 issues, but we found things like the encryption keys are stored. They're just put out there in clear plain text on all these election servers. They don't even need to be there.
Wow.
That's a violation of the 2005 standards under which the machine was originally certified on in 2019. And then they use hard-coded passwords. I think everybody that's listening can relate to that. They have a hard-coded password. You can't change it, and they've written scripts to rely on that hard-coded password. It's just crazy, crazy stuff. That's another violation of the certification standards. And that goes all the way back to 1984 in what we
Right.
call the FIPS standard, Federal Information Processing Standard. So there's just so many things wrong, and with elections, both procedurally, electronically, the voter list, and we're trying to work all the issues at the same time with what resources we've got.
Yeah, and I wanted to speak to that specifically and referencing the opt-out system. This is something I heard you speak about before, which surprised me as well. Just not only how rare that is across the nation, but how that system works in general. I'd love to hear you talk about that if you could.
Yeah, it's really fascinating, and it's just one example of how ineligible registrations are getting on file. There's other ways that are very suspicious, but there's an interface between the driver's license and the voter registration database, and so when you go in to register to vote, you do something, well, the way most states work and all of our border states work is that you can I'm sorry, I said register to vote. I meant register for a driver's license.
Right.
When you go in to register for your driver's license, you can opt in to get on the voter registration roll if you want to register to vote. And you're a citizen, I think you have to check a couple boxes and might have some additional proof to show. So that's a legitimate way where you could get on the voter roll as a U.S. citizen when you register to vote. But we have a ridiculous process here. It's called opt-out, and you have to opt out, or you're going to be automatically registered to vote, whether you are qualified to vote or not. And it's insanity.
Amazing. Oh, man.
Yeah, and we've got Democrats down there who think that this is okay. And in fact, even the governor, our current governor, Kim, seemed to like this process as well and seemed to support it. But it's insane to put people on a voter roll who are not not eligible to vote. It's like giving people bank accounts and allowing them to have withdrawals when they don't have any money.
Exactly.
It's great. But this is some of the insane legislative policies that have gotten through because nobody is watching the hen house.
Right. And we've even heard more information about people who went through that process you're speaking of, and then they got noticed to show up for jury duty or to be involved in other aspects of the government. And they're saying, hey, I'm not even a citizen. I don't even understand why you guys are contacting me about jury duty.
Exactly. And, there are cases down there where these people get on the rolls. You've probably seen them because you're very familiar with state election board meetings where, we had a couple meetings ago, there were folks that came in and they didn't know that they had even been registered to vote. And it was this one lady that she wasn't a citizen or something. They had her in there because she was had registered to vote and she wasn't a citizen. But she said, "What are you talking about? I just went in and got a driver's license."
Exactly.
And so it's not her fault. It's just stupid, corrupt policies that we've got to fix.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you and Senator Dolezal have been really at the forefront of looking into and finding more information about what's been going on, specifically with even the registration process. Like you said, just starting at that basic level of why are people getting registered who aren't voting? Why are there thousands of people registered to vote, as you mentioned, at an abandoned house or under a bridge? It seems like it's a simple fix, starting with the registration system.
Yeah, exactly. Most of them are simple. Senator Dolezal has done a great job of bringing this to the attention of everybody. I love what he's doing. We've gotten a lot of help from the legislature, particularly in the Senate. Senator Max Burns has been pushing a lot of bills. Senator Steve Gooch has been incredibly helpful to us, and Burt Jones, of course, as the leader of the Senate, has been incredibly helpful on a lot of things. These are just simple things that just need to be done. And we could hopefully we'll get some more improvements. What we do have over the last 5 years, we've gotten over 24 improvements. Thanks a lot into the folks that I've just named, as well as we've got some really good folks on the House that have helped out as well. And so, we've gotten more improvements in Georgia in the last 5 years for election integrity than any other state in the country. My peers are just amazed at what we've gotten done, but still, we've got all these holes that you're talking about. That's how bad elections are, and people don't know this. We're all out busy having fun. Watching football or basketball. I'm watching the Olympics, that kind of thing. So right now, so we're not paying attention, and we've got to take control of our government. I think it was Jefferson that said the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. So that's what we've got to do. We just got to be more dedicated and vigilant at trying to fix these problems.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking to the solution part of this conversation, I know you've got the phrase "Unplug Georgia" behind you. Could you speak more to what you're looking at and what you're seeing as a viable solution? Do we need to just hit the reset button and go back to mainly absentees, or what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, well, generally, one of the big things that we have been pushing, or two, is handmarked paper ballots with publicly recorded hand counts. That eliminates the possibility of electronic vote fraud. And what we're going to see is that we've been victimized by electronic vote fraud. And so that's our big thing. And, we were looking today to try to figure out what we could do in lieu of the hand count. And there really isn't any real way around that. There's so many things wrong and our audits are an absolute sham. They audit one race every 2 years and say, oh, okay, then everything's fine. That's crazy. You have to audit every race that you're concerned about. So there's just, there's so many things wrong. We'd have to totally overhaul auditing, but the easiest thing to do is just hand count the ballots. We've got the timing for those now. If you hand mark the ballot, you don't have to worry about, machine intervention and anything like that. And then you count them, you don't have to worry about, Serbian programmers from Dominion, accessing the system in the middle of the election. And changing stuff. That's what we've got to protect against. So that's what we think. That's the major solution. But there's many other more low-hanging fruit that we can tack onto that. But that's the big one that we're trying to push as best we can right now. The election officials don't want it. Because really, to be honest, they don't want to do their job. It's easy for them to just, say that they're certifying whatever the machine told them, but they don't know that was right.
Exactly. You're using bad information.
So you can't certify something you can't prove.
Exactly.
But that's what they're doing right now. We've got to stop that.
All right. Well, Garland, I know you've got a lot of stuff going on, and specifically, as you mentioned, coming up next Wednesday, you've got a lot of announcements that you're going to get into, specifically when it comes to the FBI raid. So the last thing I wanted to ask you about is, how can people support? What do you have coming up that we can look forward to and actually be active in helping make a change with this crazy system we have here?
Well, thanks so much for asking.
Yes.
We first of all, we have a wealth of information that is up on the voterga.org website. You can find most everything we do, press releases. Some of the press conferences are up there that we've done. I think you'll find it fascinating. The listeners would. And of course, we are a all volunteer organization, and we have survived on donations from patriots that like those who watch your podcast. So that's another way they can help out. It is actually tax deductible. We're a legitimate 501c3 and have been for 20 years. So that's another way they can help out with a donation. All that money goes, almost all of it goes directly to legal fees. And we've got a couple of active cases right now involving the Fulton County ballots and the Dominion voting system.
Yeah, according to Fulton County, even if you just want to get a legitimate open records request finalized, that you got to hire an attorney. So I know that's that's important to get that done. Well, I appreciate you so much, Garland. I could talk about this with you all day, but I know I don't want to take too much of your time. So I appreciate you stopping by. If you have any closing thoughts, please feel free to share them.
Well, we'll do it again soon. So.
Absolutely. Hey, the floor is yours. This platform is yours. Anytime you want to stop by, please let me know.
Great. Thanks so much. It's great being with you.
Thank you. And I dropped the link. We dropped it in the chat to go support at votergeorgia.com or votergeorgia.org.
Yeah, it's a .org.
Specifically /donate. So we've got that link in the description, and we also dropped it in the chat for you. So we'll be hearing from you soon. Looking forward to the announcements and press conference on Wednesday.
Good. Yeah, it'll be posted on the VoterGA events tab, hopefully by the end of the day. We're just a little bit behind.
Oh, no, it's perfect. Thank you so much, Garland. I appreciate it. Look forward to talking with you again.
Great. Me too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Amazing interview. Wow. Thank you to Garland for stopping by. That was a lot of fun. Listen, guys, we've been looking at live in 4K what's been happening here in Fulton County. And it's always great to hear from a true professional, somebody who's in the trenches. Excuse me. Had to see someone who's in the trenches, who's putting in the work, who built an entire organization to basically not only find out the truth about what's happening here in Fulton County, but to hold accountable the people who need to held accountable and making changes to moving in the right direction. So again, y'all make sure you go and you support Garland over there at voterga.org, and you can specifically support financially at voterga.org/donate. Show them some love because he's doing some great work over there. What do y'all think, man? Let me see what y'all are saying in the chat and in the comments. Shout out to Jason, and thank you for the super chat. He dropped the 15 bomb. And yeah, I'm glad that you asked this question because Garland actually addressed it. He said, can you ask Garland in Fulton County if Fulton County ever verified the signatures to the voter registrations on the 148,000 Fulton County absentee ballots? I would guess they never did, but will the FBI finally do that? Yeah, and he mentioned that about the FBI and about a lot of those signatures that were missing. He mentioned the tabulators that we saw and researched here. He said there's an entire issue there that's going to need to be looked into. There's the registration process. There's the opt-in process, which shocked and surprised me that this isn't actually a real thing. They hand you a driver's license, you're automatically opted in to vote. Whether you're a citizen or not, it doesn't even matter. It's wild. So thank you for the support, Jason. Yeah, he said the FBI's got a lot of work to do. And y'all go support Garland over there. He's doing some great work, trying to get some transparency here in Fulton County, and we had to have the FBI step in. I guess that's just the point we're at right now. So thank you for the support, Jason. Appreciate the super chat. Amy said, God bless you. Thank you, Amy. I be holding them sneezes in. Someone says, now that the Supreme Court has ruled that Trump's tariffs are illegal, does that mean they are officially part of the deep state? Listen, guys, we could get into the politics of this and talk about it all day, round and round in circles. We know this is just a power play. We know the other side is just wants to get something. They want a deal to be made. And I think the president's going to have to do what he does best, and that's make a deal, right? So we'll see how that goes. I can't imagine that lasting long, because that's been a big part of how the president has been able to move and how the president's been able to get things done when it comes to not only working on the economy, but shifting the power dynamic back to the United States. So it's definitely, there's something there. What's there? I don't know. Y'all make sure you go support Garland as well. They're doing a great job. Thank you, Amy, for dropping that in the chat. Motor voter is a Dem deal enacted under Bill Clinton, while Bill Clinton, to win elections the only way they can. Rampant cheating. Repeal it. I mean, can you see how this would be an issue? Imagine you come into this country, not a citizen. You're allowed to be here. You're allowed to drive. You get your driver's license. They say, hey, come on down and vote. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. That is a real thing. We have to get a lawyer for a FOIA. Yeah. In Fulton County. Yes. Why? Taxpayers have already paid for the information requested. Why do we need a lawyer? I'm saying that because there was a whole lawsuit with Judicial Watch not being able to complete their FOIA requests. You have the merchant law firm actually had to go to court. Thank God it's a law firm, because they just wanted some emails. They say, hey, can we get some emails? Open records request. Simple, right? Nope. Dexter Bond, Fannie Willis said, nah, you can't have them. Sorry. Oh, we misplaced them. We lost them. Sorry, guys, you can't have them. So they had to go through this whole process. Ashley Merchant tried to get her legal fees back and got them back. Judicial Watch, I believe I think their case is still open from what I can remember. But yeah, you can't listen. Amy will testify to this. I've asked for several things using open records. And what do I get? What's the email I get? I can read it to you directly, actually. This is what I get. Let's see, open. Fulton County Open Records. I don't even know when I first requested this thing. It had to be 3 months ago. The sheriff's office is currently receiving a high volume of requests. Requests are processed in the order which they are received. Additional time is needed to fulfill your open records request. We anticipate an update or response will be forwarded to you within 8 business days. Y'all think that happened? Oh my gosh. We appreciate your continued patience. If this matter is urgent, please call our team. It's crazy. It's wild out here. So yeah, good luck with that. It's just how things go. All right. We're actually going to get back into it. This is going to be a fun one, because this is a great lead in from our amazing conversation with our guy Garland Favorito. Let me double check and make sure I've got this all set up for you guys. And we're going to get back into the state election board meeting, because as I mentioned during our conversation with Garland, this thing is crazy. We're going to check out his time in the meeting at a later date, probably over the weekend. So make sure y'all stay on the lookout for that. We've got 2,400 of y'all in the building. Wow. Thank you to everybody that's in here. If you haven't yet, please like the video. Likes are free, guys. Okay. So make sure you like the video. It takes less than a second to do. And I know y'all are going to enjoy the content. So go ahead and like the video. All right. Thank you again to Jason. I appreciate the love and support. Let's get into our next topic. And I gotta update our title, because we're going to talk about this madness that is going on here in Fulton County. And it gets crazy. I've been enjoying covering what's been going on during these election board meetings, I guess we will call them. And this situation from a couple of days ago just gets even crazier. So let me update this and get this here, and we'll be good to go. All right. I know y'all are ready for it. Let's go ahead and get into this next topic. So we've been covering what's been going on at the Fulton County Election Board's meeting. They just met for the first time this year over the last couple days, and the information that was shared during this meeting was truly shocking in a lot of cases. We're going to hear some more shocking testimony from people who aren't even citizens in this country, who are giving information about they were signed up to vote. They didn't even know they were registered to vote. People being called for jury duty that aren't even citizens in the United States because somehow they were registered to vote. We talked to Garland Favorito about the whole opt-in system, which is amazing even on its own. So if y'all haven't checked that out, make sure you go watch that. Let's hear from Senator Greg Dolezal, though. Greg Dolezal has been at the forefront of creating awareness about this. You all have seen him during these hearings that we've had with Fani Willis, trying to find out what went on during the election interference case. And now he's speaking about what's been going on at this election board meeting and the changes that are needing to happen moving forward. What does he say here? Fulton County is at it again, this time refreshing a judge's order to seat the Republican nominee on their county election board. This has gone on long enough. Georgia needs to take over Fulton County's elections immediately. I agree.
So this might be the most Fulton County thing ever. Fulton County is refusing to seat the Republican nominee to the county election board. See, under local law, they have to have 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, and 1 person appointed by the Board of Commissioners, which of course is going to be a Democrat. And for almost a year, 8 months, something like that, they have been refusing to seat the Republican, Jason Frazier, to the local election board. So what does that mean? That means Republicans don't have the representation. A judge has held them in contempt of court. He's ordered daily $10,000 fines. Fulton County still won't move. So now it's going through the court system again. But when people wonder about why we keep talking about Fulton County, it's because of stuff like this.
Yeah,
no other counties in Georgia are acting this way. They're not refusing to seat Democrats in Republican counties. But in Fulton County, they're refusing to seat the Republican. It's out of control. It's got to end. State of Georgia's got to come in and take over these Fulton County elections before it's too late.
Yeah, and we may be at that point already, because you guys are going to be shocked some of the things that were said during this meeting. But first, let's hear from 11 Alive on what they're seeing and what they believe is going on in this meeting. Give us a good overview, and we'll actually hear from the board members in this meeting, in this interview as well. Check it out.
Right now, the state election board is meeting for the first time since the FBI raid at the Fulton County election hub last month.
11 Alive's Galat Malamed is live in Barrow County at that meeting. So, Galat, has the board discussed the raid at all?
Oh, yeah.
There hasn't been a discussion specifically about that raid. The board, though, did discuss other agenda items related to Fulton County. And one of those agenda items is a complaint brought forward by a citizen related to potential double voting by 20 people in Fulton County in the November 2020 election and January runoff. The county's representative here says double votes did not happen, and there was an issue with transferring data to the new voter registration system. Within roughly just the last hour, the board voted to subpoena Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to come to next month's meeting and explain what happened. We spoke to State Election Board member Janelle King about issues off of today's agenda as well, including a Republican lawmaker's call for the state election board to take over Fulton County Elections Board.
Say for me as a board member, I'm waiting to see what happens with the DOJ and the FBI seizure and see what comes out of that. You know, we are aware that we do have the authority to take over the board, but there's no decisions have been made, and I don't think they will be until we see what happens with this investigation.
Tomorrow, the board will give an update on its subpoena for 2020 election documents and ballots from Fulton County. Of course, the FBI is now in possession of nearly 700 boxes of Fulton County 2020 election records.
All right, so let's actually get back into the election board meeting. Guys, listen to this story very carefully. And it's going to just give some more background to the issues that we have here in Fulton County. It's going to shock you. I'm just going to let it play. Listen to what's being said here.
Is there a representative from DeKalb County here?
Great, it's your turn. It's my turn. My turn at the podium. Good morning, members of the board. For the record, my name is Brent Herrin, Herrin. This case is very similar to a case that was heard in December for DeKalb County. That was SCB 2024-178. However, unlike case 178, the DeKalb voters in this particular case, no one checked the box no on the application. For two of the voters, they actually affirmed that they were U.S. citizens when they submitted the registrations. For two of the voters, the boxes were not checked yes or no. For voter Jones, and the investigator's report said that his registration card had not been submitted. We, in fact, did submit voter Jones' registration card to the investigators of the Secretary of State. I have it here if you guys would like a copy. But clearly, when he signed the card in 1996, he indicated that he was a U.S. citizen.
Wow. And he wasn't.
With respect to voter Hanea, he indicated that he was a U.S. citizen on his voter registration card. That was a registration that came in by mail. And I guess I should say, with respect to voter Jones, also, he registered in October of 96, and he voted in numerous elections from 1998 through 2018. And I believe it was when he
11 times, right?
I don't know the exact number. I don't have that right here in front of me, but I know he voted in elections from 1998 through 2018. And I think he did go for jury duty, said he was a permanent resident. He was not a citizen, and then stopped voting after that, is my understanding.
So he wasn't a citizen and he was voting, guys. But yeah, again, clerical error, no big deal.
With the next voter, Hanea, that particular voter registered, sent in a registration card in September of 2020, indicated he was a United States citizen. He has not voted in any election, has no voter participation history.
Which one is that?
Georgia. Hanea, H-A-N-I-A. Voter Francis submitted a registration card in February of 2020. He did not indicate that he was a United States citizen. He was registered to vote, which was a mistake on the part of DeKalb County. He has no voter history showing that he's voted in any election.
Let me ask a question about Hanea. I'm sorry, go back.
Yep.
The investigator found that they were unable to locate any person with Hanea's name and date of birth. No driver listed in the driver services for this person. Are we sure this person even exists?
I don't know that. What I do know is that the registration came in by mail. The registration came in by mail. And so because a driver's license was not sent with it, he was flagged for, if he showed up to vote, he would have to submit proof that he's eligible to vote at the voting precinct. However, he hasn't voted. Apparently, he did show up, I guess, at jury duty and said he's not a United States citizen. Again, I don't know. I don't know if that person exists or not. Voter Francis, again, registered in 2020, did not indicate he was a United States citizen, has no voter history showing that he's voted in any election. Voter Woods submitted her registration card in September of 2022. She did not indicate whether or not she was a United States citizen, and she has no voter history showing that she's voted in any election. I will report that when we got this information from the Secretary of State's office, DeKalb County immediately removed these voters from the voter rolls. So they are no longer voters on the voter rolls of DeKalb County. I stand here today and tell you, just like I did in December, that DeKalb County made a mistake in registering two of these voters. They should not have been registered, and those are voters Francis and Woods. As I mentioned in the December meeting, as has been common in a number of these older cases that have come up, DeKalb County hired a new elections director in 2022, Keisha Smith. And since Ms. Smith has been hired, she has made significant improvements in the way elections are conducted and administered in DeKalb County.
This is, again, what we keep hearing. This is DeKalb County. We're going to hear about Fulton County again shortly, but this is what we keep hearing during these meetings. It's like, yes, we royally screwed up, but there's been changes made in the future. But that doesn't fix what happened before. Not that you could fix it, not that we're trying to fix it. But saying there's been changes made doesn't change the fact that there was an issue in the past.
She's implemented additional training and processes, and put processes in place related to registrations. That additional and training includes new standard operating procedures to ensure that registrations don't occur, that these types of registrations don't occur. And that includes an audit. There are at least two sets of eyes on every single voter registration application that comes into DeKalb County. So the person that processes it puts it into the system, and then there is someone that is above that person who then reviews to make sure everything that is on that list has been properly entered into the system. So every single registration coming into DeKalb County is audited. I am sure that there will be additional cases that this board has or that may come before this board that predate these additional steps that DeKalb County has put in place. However, we do not expect that there will be future cases since these new processes have been put in place where something like this will occur. As you all know, Ms. Smith runs an efficient office. She has high expectations of her staff, and she demands accountability when people mess up. The individuals that were responsible for registering these, the 2020 and 2022 registrants that do no longer work for DeKalb County. I would ask that this body dismiss DeKalb County related to Jones and Hanea because when we got the registration cards, they indicated they were U.S. citizens. With respect to voters Francis and Woods, we would ask for letters of instruction based upon the new procedures and audit processes that have been put in place by DeKalb County to prevent this from happening in the future.
Yeah, I'll be interested. We're going to hear about this process in a second. I'm going to be interested to see how are we verifying that they are legally allowed to register to vote. So that seems to be the issue. You're counting on the person doing the right thing and saying, oh, well, I'm not a citizen. I shouldn't be voting. But that's not what has been happening here. And saying, oh, we fixed it, dismiss this issue. I don't know. We'll have to hear what the fix is because I'm interested in this specifically.
I'm sorry, I'm stuck on this Hanea person or non-person. Do you have the card?
Yeah.
The research card? I'd like to see that, please.
And when you say they indicate they are a citizen, are you just referring to them signing it? Because there's no box or that checks yes or no.
In 96, there wasn't a box, but he's certifying by signing that he's a United States citizen.
Is there a box now or
There is a box
something
now.
that's clear?
If you'll look at Hanea's application, there is a box that says yes or no. I think in 96, there wasn't a box.
Yeah, that's okay.
And again, for Mr. Jones, every time you vote in an election, when you sign now the poll pad, you're attesting that you're a United States citizen and eligible to vote.
I certainly hope
catch
that
it.
What's that?
If you catch it.
right. I hope the poll clerks
Exactly.
are looking at the driver's licenses because about 99% of people that come in to vote provide a driver's license.
They're not looking. We already heard this in previous testimony. They're not looking. They're not really trained. They don't know if they're looking. They might be. We'll have to add that in.
Possibly one indicator that they may or may not be a U.S. citizen. I have a question. When a new applicant comes in, all four of the DeKalb County voters that are in question here, or registrants that are in question, they all registered to vote with handwritten applications, which is interesting. These were not initiated with DDS, although sometimes I think we need to monitor DDS these days. But when a new registrant, a new applicant registers to vote, aren't they put into a pending status until all of the information is verified and checked?
You would think so.
I believe that to be correct. And for at least 3 of these voters that were registered in this millennia, they never voted, right? So they would be in a pending status. They have never shown up to vote. With respect to Mr. Jones, who registered again in 1996, 1996 was, I was in college in 1996, so I have no idea what, as a matter of fact, that was probably the first election I actually voted in. I have no idea what the processes were back in 1996 for verifying anything.
Okay. But if there's a pending
if it's your job.
application and the action is not taken on that application, then it's rejected after a certain number of days, correct?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Well, that's what it is in the code book.
Okay.
I don't know what the practice is in DeKalb County.
I don't know what the practice is, but I don't.
Right.
I haven't reviewed that part of the procedure.
All right.
But-
So when a voter registers, an applicant registers to vote, are they sent a precinct card to
If they're registered to vote, they would be sent a
precinct card?
Correct.
And the precinct card tells them where their polling place is, correct? And
That's correct.
information, it confirms the information that they have just registered to vote and the information that's on their registration application. But if there's a ghost voter, say like Hania, and the card comes back, so the precinct card is sent and it is returned as return mail, isn't that applicant then rejected?
Well, I'm not sure there was return mail. He was sent a letter in 2020 after he was registered saying, you didn't supply an ID. And here are the list. When you go to vote for the first time, here are a list of things, of possible things you need to bring to show that you're eligible to vote. That letter was not returned to DeKalb County.
So he did not provide the ID.
Correct.
And so why wasn't he rejected as the applicant?
He at the time, I believe that he is put into this status that when he shows up to vote, he has to bring something to the voting precinct to show that he's eligible. That's what his letter says from 2020 that was sent to him. And I've got a copy of that letter if you like it.
So nobody checks whether this information is accurate or not?
My understanding is from Director Smith is that once that information is entered, there is a process through the Secretary of State's office that verifies voter, Social Security Administration that goes through and sends that. And then there is periodically they can download a report to see if those things have been verified. When we got word that of this particular voter, Hanea, it would show that the Social Security number came back as verified.
He didn't
in that
have a Social
report.
Security number on here. Yeah, no, he didn't have Social Security.
And then again, that's what the main issue is with the Secretary of State's office that we're seeing here. That's the main issue. Because this verification process is running through the Secretary of State's office, and then they do this audit, and we see what happened here is happening over and over and over again. You hear this is DeKalb County, we've heard about in Fulton County, and we're actually going to hear some testimony from a woman who has been in this country for multiple decades, never registered to vote, but there's information out there about her voting. How that's possible, we don't know. We'll get into it here in just a second. Guys, if you haven't watched this hearing, please take the time to check out this hearing, because let's just get into it. The testimony you're about to hear from this woman and multiple others about how they were affected by this voting system is here in Fulton County, DeKalb County, the state of Georgia, is going to shock you. Check this out.
I'm sorry.
Something on here was a lie.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it came back that one of the things came back as correct. But a number of things came back as not correct, and he was listed as having to bring something when he showed up to vote. So he was flagged that he couldn't just show up with an ID and vote. He had to have one of these other things that are required in this letter.
Does that mean he was in pending status?
I don't know the answer to that question, but he certainly couldn't just show up and vote.
I mean, everything on here is a lie.
I will say Mr. Chairman, I will say when I reviewed this yesterday, not that there aren't people that were born on January 1, but that just kind of stood out to me as odd.
Well, I'm totally amazed that whoever this person is supposedly showed up for jury duty, because we can't find him.
Well, the other thing I will say,
a ghost
that's
voter.
crazy.
I mean, and again, I have no idea, but lots of people want to get out of jury duty. So I don't know that we verified that these people, other than I think Mr. Jones has admitted he's a permanent resident. With these other individuals, have we verified they're really not citizens? I don't know that.
I don't know that he showed up for jury duty, because the investigation says a copy of the jury notification spreadsheet was provided.
There's no way.
It may have just been a spreadsheet that they picked that up off of, not that the guy should. I mean,
there's no way.
I don't think this person exists.
I don't either.
So
could be, and he's not on the voter rolls anymore if he does exist.
He said could be. What are we talking about? There's a voter that doesn't even exist that was asked to go to jury duty, and they couldn't find him. Guys, this is insane. It gets worse.
So you said that DeKalb County audits, I guess, every application. I don't know what that means exactly. Are the entire voter rolls audited at DeKalb County periodically?
For citizenship status?
You don't know.
For accuracy.
Yeah, we do.
Citizens.
We do a voter maintenance. We have a voter maintenance program. Whether or not citizenship is on that, I mean, that SAVE program that you mentioned earlier I'll look into that and talk to my client about that.
So he doesn't know, like I said.
But yes, we do have a voter list maintenance program.
My understanding is the Secretary of State claimed that they were participating in this program, but it doesn't seem like they have communicated that to DeKalb County or even Fulton County.
I'm not aware of that.
So it's just something they're talking about, but not actually acting upon, I guess.
Yeah, today's the first time I became aware of that. But I certainly am going to look into that and discuss it with the board.
Wow.
Mr. Chair, looking at this investigative summary, it states that there were approximately 10% of the list, I think it was 5,000 to 6,000 jury affidavit submissions were reviewed. This is between 2014 and 2015, and 611 of them were determined to have, 659 were questionable, 611 were determined to have presented proof of citizenship, and 48, I guess, have not. Do we know what happened with all the rest of those individuals?
You don't know.
Is that something we might want to find out? Where are the rest of them? Because I know you only have a handful, Fulton has a handful, but that's certainly not the full 48. That's just 2014 to 2015. So I think we should ask the SOS investigators for an update on the remaining individuals.
Any further questions from the board?
No, here we go with this next
Sorry,
testimony.
may I speak again, please? Ms. Osagle is here, Rosemary Osagle. She is one of the ones that was there. I don't know if she wants to speak. We were able to pull up. She has no voting activity. She is currently canceled. She registered in 2018. We were able to pull up that registration. They're going through the process of all the old registrations and scanning them into Jarvis. That one was checked.
When did that happen?
U.S. citizen. So I don't believe that was a clerical error on the staff.
So it was checked that she was a U.S.
Clerical
citizen?
error,
Yes.
there we
So
go.
I
Checked or what?
it is checked on I'll say it's checked on the registration form.
Okay.
And we were able to pull that up from here because it's one of the ones that's already been scanned.
Okay.
The Gamble registered in 2017, currently canceled, no betting activity. That one is not yet scanned, so we can't pull up that original registration yet to see what that says.
Yes, she's continued. Ms.
Okay.
Gamble has continued.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Here we go.
Good morning. My name is Rosemary Osaige.
Would you pronounce the last name again so I can?
Osaige.
Osaige.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll never get that one right, but I'll try my best.
I am here this morning to let you guys know, the commission, that I've never voted, even register. I've been in this country for 20 years.
20
And I'm
years.
married. This is my husband, Ibrahim. And I have 4 children. And I can tell you guys that I've never registered or to vote. That's what I want to tell you.
Okay.
I voted, yes.
Was this one a driver services, or was this an actual card, or what was this? Yeah. And do you have a copy of the registration? Okay.
We just pulled it up. It looks like it's a mail-in card. I mean, I will say it's very tiny print.
So who mailed it in?
I can't tell because it's a scan. It almost looks like the no is partially checked. I mean, the yes is clearly checked. It does look like there's a possible mark and then also on the no. I mean, I can show this to you, but
The investigators report.
I mean, it's very clear that
a
yes,
mail-in application was submitted.
it was
Can I see
mailed.
it?
Another one. And we can skip ahead a little bit here too.
Yes.
Have you seen that application, Ms. Sudgy?
Yes, I saw.
Is that your application?
No, no, sir.
Is that your handwriting? And signature?
Nope. So whose handwriting and signature is it? Why is no one talking about this?
I remember doing this because I know making check. This was in 2018. I don't remember that.
Okay.
So,
Why is no one talking about this? A card was filled out and signed. Not with her, not her
There is
signature.
no voting history voter.
Pardon me?
There is no voting history, so she has never voted.
Right, but she was, it looks like that, you have driver's license, correct?
yes.
And so she was activated with the DDS once again.
It's the opt-in.
Verification.
opt-in process.
Okay. Thank you.
Or opt-out, excuse me. She never
Yes, sir.
voted, but she could have.
Good morning. I got the mail.
Pardon me?
About the voters registration.
What is your name?
Anthony Francis.
Anthony Francis.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Francis. Would you speak into the microphone, please?
Sorry. So I've never registered to vote, and I saw it, so I came here to let be known. I've not a registered voter at all.
This is DeKalb County. From my understanding, this was an error in DeKalb County, correct?
Yes.
Wow.
Okay, but I'm asking the attorney.
Yeah, I mean, we have a voter registration card for Mr. Francis that was submitted. And he should not have been registered because he didn't check yes or no on the application.
Okay.
I'm happy to,
Okay.
if you guys want.
You're clear. Yeah, I would like to see
Yeah.
that.
Wow.
Mr. Francis, is that your application? And your signature?
I do not sign my signature this way.
You did not fill out that application?
No.
Is there anything else on the card that is not correct?
Everything seems correct, but I never did any of this.
Did someone fill out an application for you, Mr. Francis?
Not by my knowledge.
Wow.
Is the address correct on this?
I currently moved, so I'm not staying in DeKalb anymore.
Was this address correct in 2020?
Yes.
You live there?
Yes, I did live there.
But that's not your signature.
No.
You have your driver's license on you?
I don't have it on me, but I recently replaced it, so the driver's license number is different as I've known.
Well, that shouldn't change, right? Okay.
Can you sign something for us? Let's see how you should sign things?
Yeah, can you sign your name can you give him a piece of paper so he can sign his name?
Sign this. Sign this.
Um,
Which is the same copy of what you
Okay,
had.
yeah, that's fine, whichever. I think, well. I'm gonna get something.
Make sure you take that piece of paper with you, brother. Jeez. Looking at it to see if it matched. If not, who signed it?
Any questions?
No. Well, you didn't check that you are a citizen or non-citizen. So regardless, this is like the cab error.
Okay.
Any further questions from the board? Thank you, sir. Oh, sorry.
Mr. Francis, did you get a precinct card from DeKalb County? Did they send you a precinct card, a voting card?
No, I have not received one.
But the address on the registration is correct?
Yes.
I don't know.
Did you receive one in 2020?
Yes.
You did?
I moved in 2022.
Okay. Did you get a precinct card in 2020?
No.
Like an election? Okay. No, nothing. Nothing in the mail for voting?
Nothing about voters registration in the mail.
Okay. Did you get an absentee ballot?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Any further questions from the board?
I have a quick question.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Mr. Heron, do you know in this situation for DeKalb County, if a voter doesn't check yes or no, are they automatically registered anyway?
Good question.
They should not be registered to vote if they don't check yes or no. We should be contacting the voter to verify their citizenship. If they do not, that is the current process. So if one of these applications were to come in today, the process would be is that they would contact the person that submitted the registration to say, you didn't check this box. You need to submit proof that you are a United States citizen for us to be able to register you.
Thank you. Mr. Francis, do you recall if anyone ever contacted you?
I do not.
You don't recall, or they did not?
Never voted. I never got no call anything about for being voted.
Thank you.
And just to clarify, that was not the process in 2020,
Right,
but that
I
is the
understand.
process today.
Got it.
They got it fixed, guys.
Thank you for coming and clearing your name.
Okay, thank you.
All right, that's about as much as I could take. Let me know what y'all think about this. It goes on for hours and hours and hours and hours. At one point, we get into a story from a man who says that he and his wife were at a voting location, and someone who works there, an election official, took a picture of his wife's passport with her personal phone and sent it to her supervisor. And that's just one of many stories. A lot of work needs to be done. We're going to continue to talk about it. I don't know why no one else is talking about this, because this is truly shocking that the system is set up this way. Let me know what you guys think in the comments and in the chat. We're the only ones, man. The only ones. It's crazy. Big shout out to Kitty Cat. Gotta play the sound effect for Kitty Cat. Thank you so much for the support with the 2-bomb. Says, happy to see you still grinding, my guy. Blessings. Absolutely. Blessings to you as well. The grind literally does not stop. It doesn't. I'm gonna let y'all take a little bit of a break until we're back again. Make sure, if you haven't yet, like the video on your way out, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you haven't yet. Please make sure you go to voterga.org/donate if you want to support Garland Favorito and the great work he's doing there to bring awareness to what's going on with the voting system here in Georgia, and to actually make a reasonable, actionable change. I appreciate every single one of y'all. Thank you to everybody that went the extra mile and dropped the super chat. Jason over there with the 15-bomb, and Kitty Cat with the 2-bomb as well. I hope you guys have a great rest of your afternoon. We'll be dropping more content throughout the weekend, so make sure you stick around. As always, you know what to do. Keep growing, keep pushing, keep it classy. We go. Peace. Thank y'all for